Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't like this episode. I really didn't. For me personally, it was just so many things that just didn't work. I mean, okay, so you got Allie that figures out that Johnny is possessed, right? So she's trying her hardest. She's like, Johnny, you gotta sit there and fight. Well, this is after she goes through this long exposition of, oh, so this is why you're acting this way and this way and that, and it's just like, here's the thing. I get that they need to catch people up on on stuff that happened before. You know, it's her realizing that all the events that happened, the breakup, the way that she told Trip, to do all like the maximum damage, all that stuff. I get that she has to sit there and say all that exposition for people that are new, and I get that. But for me, who's watching it, it just came across like, and that's why you did this, and that's why you did that, and it was like, man, I'm not gonna lie, they are making her look so stupid, which normally they don't have to try that hard. And unfortunately, this isn't her fault. It's just a simple fact that she has to go through these lists of events to let new people in on why, this is such, big news for her. This is such a shock for her. So after she goes through all that, which was annoying for me to sit there and listen to, then she tells her brother to fight. She gives him encouraging words and everything like that. And then I think we can all kind of guess what happened next. Allie's possessed. I'm not gonna lie. The minute that Abby walked in and you saw Allie just kind of standing there with her back turned, I was like, "Yep." I mean, on the bright side, I'm pretty sure the actors have fun with the whole, the eyes and acting all evil and everything like that. I'm pretty sure that was fun. So at least I can sit there and enjoy that part. But besides that, it was like, oh man, now Allie's possessed. Okay, we're still doing this. Listen, the sad part is that this is the only bright spot in this whole episode. So I'm not gonna sit there and bash it too much and just kind of just take what I can get because the rest of this episode just the only way I can sit and describe it. Seriously, that's so. First, Sarah comes over and she's all, she starts banging on Xander's door and she walks on in and she's like, "Oh, put on some damn clothes." And I'm like, listen, I know that a bunch of people are loving this storyline. I know DC Sanctuary is loving this storyline, but I just sat there and looked at her like, I know this chick did not just walk in somebody else's place and start trying to tell them what to do. So that just then she starts whining and yelling about how, Alex needs to sit there and sign the papers and blah 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 so they can get their divorce and all this other stuff. And meanwhile, Xander's not there trying to talk her down and be like, no, you're not Renee, you're Sarah, and you're the person who I once loved, and holding her hand and everything. I'm like, bro, what are we doing at this point? So of course Gwen walks in. They have this whole conversation and Xander gets a call from Maggie. So he agrees to sign these papers that she drawn up or somebody drawn up, and just to get her the hell on somewhere else to wherever her to get her back to the house. So Gwen like, all right, so what are we gonna do now? Because she's all mad and sad. Well, she's all sad, but she's like, all right, listen. Xander's like, yo, listen, they got to care for her. It's like, oh, that's great. So now she can return back to who she was, and y'all two could just, ride off into the sunset together, you know? So she's upset about that, and she asks him again. But there's one point where she says something. Yeah, that's what it was. She was like, oh, seeing you two there holding hands, I was a little bit jealous. And he stands there like an absolute moron. It's just like, I sat there and looked at him, and Gwen was like, "Wait, that's it? I tell you, I was jealous about you two holding hands, and that's the response I get." So she is just angry. She's hurt, and after Xander goes around in circles and starts yammering about something else, he does sit there and declare his love. And when Gwen is like, "Well, if this cure doesn't work, are you gonna let her go?" After a long monologue, he actually does sit there and say, "Yeah, listen, I'm gonna let her go. I want to get married to you if you still have me." And she is overjoyed. And I just sat there and looked at her like, "Damn, girl, you are pathetic. You really are pathetic." This man literally went in circles. Your stomach are not are in. You're all sad and you're broken up about this, and either he's clueless or he's just callous. And yeah, now he's all like, "Oh, I'll agree to marry you if you'll take me." And she's all over the moon instead of being like, well, I had to practically sit there and beg this man to like give me some sort of response. So she's all happy and it's all great, somewhat. So they do wind up tricking. Well, before Sarah gets there, Anna's like, "All right, so we got the antidote, and we're gonna sit there and stick her with it, and that's gonna be that." And Maggie's like, "Oh, well, we can't do it against her will." I'm like, "So we just going, we just going to drag this out, right? We just going to drag this whole thing out. Isn't that just so great?" So anyway, Sarah gets there. And Tony's like, "Listen, we can get married. We can do this today. But we got to get a blood test and everything like that. Just just reasons." Didn't really even sit there and say why. Just like, "Oh, we got to get a blood test." So they get down to the hospital, and Tony's sitting there trying to keep Sarah calm. And Chad comes in with the antidote. He's like, "All right, listen, this is good." They did some tests on it, some unofficial tests, and he said it's good. And the Maggie's like, "But it's not 100% proof, right?" It's like, "Yeah, well, listen, this is your care, your daughter. It's up to your choice." And I was like, "So we're gonna do this, right? We just gonna jab her with this, right?" And Maggie's like, "I'm not too sure because what if it hurts her? And even though we want her back, I want her to be safe." And so now she's hesitating. While Xander's like, "Well, I mean, she would want this." And Anna's like, "Yo, I'm like," and granted, Anna was annoying me. Anna was annoying me in the beginning. She was whining, and while I do get his thing, I look at this two ways. One, she is totally within her right to sit there and be upset at the way that Tony's not handling the situation, at the way that Sarah is, well, at the way that Sarah's acting. Because, yeah, even though it's not her, it's still annoying. Um, so while she was sitting there complaining to Abby on one hand, I totally get it. And she's totally within her rights to feel how she feels. That being said, it was annoying as hell, and hell, after a while, it was even annoying Abby. But Abby found out, that Chad got the antidote from Ralph, and he was able to talk him into making a reverse, um, a cure for Sarah. So anyway, I think she left because after a while she was like, "Yeah, I can't sit there and deal with this." And of course, she went downstairs and saw Allie, and we all know what happened to Allie at this point because they just want to stretch out this storyline as long as possible. Um, so what happens next? Oh, after a while, Sarah gets impatient because she's waiting for this nurse to sit there and give her the blood test or blood sample or whatever lie that they told. I think it was a blood test or whatever. Anyway, Sarah's annoyed and she's not having it anymore. Renee Dumont. I'm not calling her that name. Anyway, I will call her that name sometimes just to make sure that people, if you're watching it for the first time, know who she's pretending or she thinks that she is. So anyway, Sarah's annoyed and she's like, "All right, we gotta like, where's this woman at?" Anna, I'm gonna sit there and say, Of all the times that I gave her so much grief and called her a dingbat, and probably other names that I might have forgotten that I've called her, this is the only time. This is the only time so far, unless he surprises me in the future. The only time that I was like, Anna, you are annoying as hell. And in this one brief moment, you actually did something that I can sit there and be like, she took the needle from Maggie and she jabbed it right into Sarah's arm, and I was like, yes, yes. So she impressed me. She impressed me. I mean, I've been watching this for about nearly a year and a half, and she's been annoying. She's been annoying for the majority of that time, pretty much all of that time. Most of that. She's been annoying for the most of that time, okay? I think there was probably a couple of bright spots when she wasn't too annoying, but for the most part, she was annoying. This one time, she was actually, she impressed me. So, gotta get my hats off to her. And, yeah. Uh, let's see what else happened in this episode. Now, when I was, when I was on, Instagram, sitting there looking at the previews or whatever. There was a couple other people that was kind of annoyed with, this whole, Sarah being Renee and the way she was acting, and it was just like super annoying. So I'm not the only person. Um, but hell, listen, if you like it, that's great. Not gonna lie, I almost felt like they kind of shoved in Bella and Sean's scenes, which, to be honest, didn't really add up to much. The only thing that it did was at they were sitting there talking. They were talking about, she told Sean that she was the one that set up EJ, and now she just has to find the proof. Um, they started talking about the devil and possessing different people, and there was a point where I'm surprised that Sean did not say anything. I'm surprised Sean didn't say anything from the jump. Okay. Bella was like, listen, I'm just so glad that I came to that room, that I got to the room before you and Jan Spears slept together. And he was like, and I'm like, I'm still like, bro, listen, I know that we all supposed to have guy code, but you telling me that you didn't tell her that you already slept with her before she came into the room? Are you kidding me? Do you not understand that she can use that? I literally sat there. I was like, I don't know this character too well, Sean. I don't know this character too well. I did get some clips from a very amazing subscriber named Shakira. And one of them was Sean getting into a fight with Philip um, about something, and I think Julie had to sit there and want to breaking it up. So, Sean hasn't always been the exact upstanding man that we do see now. But I'm just like, bro, you didn't tell her. It's just so. Of course, she gets a call. She gets a page because apparently some people still have pages or whatever. I know it was an actual page. It was like a text anyway. She gets something from the jail saying that an inmate wants to see her. So she gets down there, and if you saw the previews, you already know what wound up happening. She walked in, she saw Janice Bear, and she was like, oh, if it was you, I would just ignored it. And as she's about to leave, Janice Bear says something along the line of, we, something. And she turns around, and she's like, what do you mean, we? And of course, she gets up, and she's pregnant. Now, I sat there and I looked at this, and I was like, we can all kind of we all kind of guess what's going to wind up happening moving forward. Bella's going to wind up with EJ. Because you saw them like being all close and getting close and everything like that. So Bella's going to sit there and wind up being with EJ. Because of this whole pregnancy thing that she's just not going to sit there and tolerate. As much as she wants to pretend that she will and be like, no, we can get through this. Yeah, she's not gonna tolerate that. I already see that just right then and there. She's not going to tolerate it. The sad part is I actually feel sad for the baby because Jan Spears is a whole different level of annoyance that I can't stand. And unfortunately, we're going to probably wind up seeing more of her. I wish I actually had something stronger than what I'm drinking right now, but just even talking about her is just, ugh. So, yeah, that's probably going to wind up happening. Now, after Chad winds up meeting up with Abby, Abby is like, I don't know, because, she walks in there and it's apparently freezing or whatever. And, she's like, I wonder where Allie went. Like, I guess she went to the back door or something like that. Now, we all know where Allie probably wound up putting Johnny at. The Mara Crypt. Um, that's what I'm guessing, anyways, where she wound up putting Johnny. Because, that thing? Again, this is actually the only highlight in this episode. I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't like this episode at all. If you cannot tell by my demeanor. And the sad thing is I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what kind of trouble that the devil's gonna sit there and, cause, and, what kind of havoc is he gonna sit there and wreak before eventually, they wrap this up. Because, they are gonna wrap it up eventually. Eventually, even though I think it happened before October, and we're still doing this in March. I mean April. Yep, still doing this in April. I feel like that's about it. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know your thoughts on the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.